So, Mark, you're a chef, right?
Yeah, I'm a chef by trade. Been cooking professionally now for about 8, 9 years.
Being a chef and a trader is, I feel like, very different.
Oh yeah.
So, if you can just talk about that, how you even
Um.
got into trading.
Okay. Well, I got into trading back in 2020. Um. Make a long story short, I was checking my mail. I got one of my bank statements, and I had like a whole bunch of money in savings. And I'm just looking at it and I'm seeing how much interest I'm being paid. And I'm just like, man, I have all this money in here and I'm getting like pennies on the dollar. Like, what's up? So it just so happened that after I printed that document, I was flipping through the channels on TV and I came across CNBC and Jim Cramer was on there. And I'm just sitting up here like hearing him screaming about all these different stocks, and people were calling in and they were asking him about, different companies and stuff. And he was saying, yeah, this is a good buy. And then he started talking about this one company. I can't remember the name, but he was basically saying, if you would have invested in this company like 5 years ago, $1,000, you would be up like 100K today. I'm like, hey, that's real money right there. That's what I'm talking about. So I decided to finish watching this show. And then I came back the next day. I realized it came on like in the afternoon. I said, let me check this guy out again. And people were calling in, asking him about different companies. And he was saying, buy or don't buy or wait and all this kind of stuff. So I said, you know what? Let me play around with this, because he seems to know what he's talking about, right? He seems to know what he's talking about. I said, well,
Yeah,
let
that's
me
what it
take
looks
some of this
like.
guy's advice. And I transferred some money to a brokerage account and I started buying some shares. And I think I bought shares like on a Tuesday. It was in September of 2020. I'll never forget this. So by Friday, I'm up like 4K. And me not knowing anything about the market, I don't know anything about stop losses or trailing stops or how to trim. I'm thinking, oh man, I'm just going to hold this until my account doubles. This is great. This is easy. Monday at like 2 o'clock, I go from being up 4K to being like up only $800. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? So I started to get a little nervous. I started to panic and I just pulled out the money. And like my first trade ever in the stock market, I made like $800. And I was like blown away. I was like, man, this is easy. I just have to keep listening to Jim Cramer and do what he says and I'll be rich. Yeah. So the next 2 months was like a roller coaster, up and down, up and down. And I remember November came right before Thanksgiving and I looked up and I was like $900 short from where I started from. I went up like 5K and then went down 5K. It was crazy. I said, all right, this trading isn't for me. This is too like emotional. I don't understand this. I thought it was I thought the market was rigged. And I was like, nah, this is just not gonna work. So then fast forward 2 months later, the whole AMC GameStop thing happened in January. So it was all over the news. It was all over CNBC. So I say, well, you know what? Let me get back in the market. Everybody's making money. Let me try this again. So I was doing equities at first, and then in February I started doing options, and that's kind of like when the casino opened. That's when like my whole trading uh, career just kind of took a sharp left turn, and I realized that I might need to learn what I'm doing here, and it's not as easy as other people on social media making it look, because they'll post these gains every day that they made 20,000 and 30,000, and I'm just like, I want to do that. If it's that easy for them, I want to be able to do that. So after about 2, 3 months, I'm like, my account was just getting completely drawn down. I decided to get some education. So I started researching on social media, Reddit, and I'm trying to find people that were selling courses where I can actually understand and learn what I was doing. So I did that for like the next year, and still losing money every day because, I didn't understand anything about having a strategy. I didn't understand anything about having an edge. I never heard of those things. I never understood about risk management. I didn't understand any of this. So I'm just following what these people are posting, doing what these people are saying, thinking if I just do what the experts do, I'm going to be successful. And about another 6 months to 8 months of that, I just kept drawing my account down more and more. I joined Discords and I was taking signals, and that worked for a little bit. And then it stopped working. I guess the market started transitioning from one cycle to the next.
Oh, to bear
And
market.
yeah. And I didn't, again, the education that I had explains how to do options, how to buy and buy calls and puts. And, it talks about different chart patterns and using trend lines and stuff. But I never really had the opportunity to sit down with somebody like a mentor and explain to me everything that I needed to know about the market. Most important thing I've learned through my journey is that every trader has to have an edge, and you have to trade according to your personality. If you try to mirror what
Yeah.
somebody else is doing, it might not work out for you, because you can't interpret what they see the way they see. And, I've been working on building my trading style, trying to get my edge down. I've been fine tuning a couple things here and there. I realized that I'm dedicated. This is something I want to do for the rest of my life. So I'm in it for the long game. And I had to like break out of this get rich quick, like get rich in 90 days mentality. I had to understand that this is
Yeah.
truly a marathon, like it's going to take years for me to get to a position to where like mentally I'm comfortable. I can look at charts. I can understand what I'm looking at. I can set up trades. I can have enough discipline to trade the plan that I'm coming up with and not allowing my emotions to get the best of me. But I'm going to get there. I'm definitely going to get there.
We have a similar mindset. And it's like, it's funny you brought up that there's never any content out there or education on risk management or like
Yeah.
psychology, or people would only really post like, hey, I made $10,000 or $1,000, and like they would mention their strategy, but even that,
Yeah.
they wouldn't even like go in depth what their strategy is or how it works, because they would give you like a brief overview, but if you wanted the good stuff, you have to like pay, like, hey, buy my course or buy my mentorship.
Yeah.
Which like, not all of them are bad, I'm sure, but I haven't really met a lot of people who like, most traders aren't profitable, so like obviously like that's not working. But I think it's also, I want to talk about more about you being a chef.
Okay.
And like how did you because it's like, it's still, I think it's such a weird not
Transition
weird, but
from
it's
A to
like,
B. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Like how did that, like, are you still transitioning to a trader from a chef, or are
No,
you?
no, I feel that I'm doing it now full time. I'm not cooking as much as I was before. Um, like at one point I had a food truck and I had a catering business.
Yeah.
So I had to give both of those up so I can dive in this 100%, because trying to balance the two, it was just becoming more and more difficult. So I had to make the decision
Yeah.
at one point, if I'm going to do this 100%, I have to give up my other passion and pursue my new passion.
I get that. Yeah. I've I didn't really have to do that, but I was working at a job, and I told them like, hey, I'm trading on the side, and I was working 50 hours a week at the time,
Okay.
which to me was a lot.
Yeah.
And so I told them, I was like, hey, I'm like doing day trading. I've been doing it for a while, and like I want to put more time into it. So I want to go 30 hours a week instead of 50.
Okay.
And it was in the construction industry. So they were like very hesitant about it. They're like, no,
Right.
we need you to work
Right.
more, if anything. But eventually, like, we agreed on it because they liked me. I was a good worker, and like, it's better to do that than to like have me quit,
Yeah.
or not work at all. So after doing that for like a year, though, they eventually were like, yeah, this isn't gonna work. Like, we need someone to work more than 30 hours a week. And
Right.
they like fired me, which I mean, that kind of sucked at the time, but it like forced me to kind of do day trading full time, even though I wasn't like profitable yet.
Yeah.
And I can't really say that it helped. I spent a lot of time on it. I used to track in my journal. Like I have a journal here filled with sticky notes I would put on my mirror, tracking the hours. And it was like, some weeks it was also 50 hours a week on trading, which like, it was a lot. And I just, same as you, I was way too focused on the money. I was like having all these, not crazy goals, but like monetary goals. And I realized after that year, which was last year,
Okay.
so kind of the beginning of this year, I was like, okay, I'm not like gonna rush it anymore. It's a process, it's a journey, and like as long as I'm still learning and it's like not just something that I'm being lazy,
Yeah.
then there's no reason to really give up. So I
There
think we're
there
at the same point.
there's really no time frame, and I think that's something else that I notice a lot of traders on social media like to say, like within X amount of time you can be successful, without X amount of time you can be,
Yeah,
consistent, and you cannot put a time on this craft because this is something that not everyone is going to get at the same time. One of the courses that I took, I was in the class of like maybe like 300 people. And I just remember at the end, it was a live Zoom course, and we were going live like 3 or 4 nights a week for like an hour or two every night. There was a lot of information coming at us for like 3 or 4 weeks. At the end of every class, the 2 hour session, I would feel like, okay, I get it. I'm ready. I understand what we did today. Let me go into the market tomorrow and try it. And then at 9:30 the next morning, when the bell started going off, I would forget everything I learned the night before. And I'm sitting there like looking at the screen and seeing the candles moving. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do now? I don't know why that would happen to me. But the weird part is that after I would be done trading, let's say 12, 1 p.m., I'm done trading. I would kind of start going through the notes of everything that I wrote down last night. I'm like hitting my forehead like, oh man, yeah, that's right. How could I forget? It was right here. But I just realized that even though I was getting fed that information, I wasn't processing it as fast as it was being given to me. Some of the things that this was like February, March 2021. I am just now starting to comprehend some of that material 2 years later, 2.5 years later. You see what I'm saying? So for everybody, their journey is going to be different. And I kind of feel like it's false advertisement when a lot of these successful traders on social media basically saying, you know, you can be profitable in 3 months or by the end of the summer or by Christmas, and it's just like you're selling a false hope, man, because people are actually looking at what you're doing, looking at what you have, and they're thinking, hey, this guy did it. He's doing it every day. If I just do what he says, I'll be there by the end of this year and I'll be able to get my Lambo and get my mansion next year. And it just sets people up for a lot of failure because when you start having failure after failure after failure, I think it can kind of start to, you know, mentally, it can kind of start to break traders down, start to thinking that, man, this market is rigged or, they're lying about what they're doing. They're not successful. They're not really making these gains. Or maybe ultimately this just isn't for me. And then they end up washing out within the first year, like they say 90% of the traders do. So I realize for everybody, it's a unique journey. They're going to learn at the pace that they can comprehend this. And one of the most important pieces of advice I can give out tonight is that if anybody watches this and they're struggling through this journey, don't give up and trade based on your personality. If you don't understand what that means, how you interpret the market, how you interpret trading is how you need to trade, not how everyone else is doing it and how they're telling you you should do it. You have to do it based on how comfortable you are and how much you get it. When you find that rhythm, that's it, man. Just build on it and eventually you'll get there. You just can't stop.
a lot of people I think are like, for some reason, very like egotistical about their strategies. But and I think it's because a lot of traders put like they attach like their worth to their trading.
Yeah.
So they're putting all their worth into like, this is my strategy. This is like me. This is like who I am. This is how I'm gonna be successful and rich. And like when people say, "Oh, well, I trade like this," and they're like, "Oh, you're stupid," like
Yeah.
because obviously this is the only way. Um, So I just always I try to be open minded and not. I used to for a little bit. I think I was like, because I used to trade penny stocks, so I
Okay.
was like, that was all I knew.
Right.
That was all I knew. So I was like, this is like the only way to do it. And
Right.
then I
Right.
realized there's like hundreds of other educators and types of way to trade. Um, I want to ask kind of a weird question
Okay.
because usually in trading, like what you do outside of trading
Right.
affects your trading.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you think
Absolutely.
there's any connection or like between being a chef and like trading? Do you think like being a chef or that you were a chef like helped you in any way being in trading, or is
Yes.
it just not related at all?
Yes. In several ways, actually. When I'm a chef, when I'm cooking, when I'm doing my craft, a lot of what I do is based on how I interpret what I'm doing and like my own personality, so to speak. For example, um, I cook Italian food, right? Um, I was raised in the South. I didn't grow up in Italy, but my take on Italian food
Yeah.
is going to be influenced by how I grew up and by how I enjoy eating Italian food. You see what I'm saying? So I had to kind of like
I see.
cater
Yeah.
it to like had to conform it to how I see Italy and how I see the Italian culture of food. So I've had a
Yeah.
lot of success with the dishes that I've made, and I've had Italians eat some dishes that I made and say, wow, this is amazing. I eat this all the time. I've never had it like this before. Right. But ultimately, I still was able to create an Italian dish that they were familiar with. And how I tie that into trading is listen, you could trade futures, I can trade options. You can trade ES, I can trade SPY. We can both see a supply at 458. You can see it at, 4,600. You end up taking the reject. I end up taking puts. We both end up being successful on that trade. I can't look at you and your trade with the futures and say, no, you're doing it wrong, man. You should have taken puts. You should have taken spot. We were both successful. We both took rejects at the same area, give or take. And we both interpreted the chart the same way, but in our own, we kind of conformed it to our own personality. You see how we felt comfortable doing it. So that's how I can explain how what I've done in culinary is being applied to what I do in trading.
That's awesome. I honestly wasn't sure if there was gonna be a connection. I was like,
Oh
I
yeah,
was expecting you to be like, no, there's nothing. But that's cool that you were able to make that connection.
absolutely,
Um,
absolutely.
it sounds like you read because I think I have similar beliefs to you. It
Uh-huh.
sounds like you read. Can't remember what book that was in. Was that
Trading in the zone,
Trading in the Zone?
trading
I
in
think
the
he
zone.
talks
Yeah,
about
I
it.
think everybody's gonna start with Mark Douglas, man. I think everyone is gonna start there
Yeah.
because, I when I first started trying to research information, I came across YouTube first, right? And I just type in
Yeah.
like a market trader, option trader, stock market wizard, and I'm coming across all these different people. And a lot of people, I can honestly tell you, like I follow several dozen people across all social media. And I would say one thing that I hear being repeated a lot is Mark Douglas. Start with these two books.
Everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, so after about a year and a half of not doing it, I finally decided to get my hands on it and like, all right, let me see what Mark is all about. Let me see what he has to say. And
Yeah.
as I'm going through it, I'm just sitting here like, wow, I would have never looked at things the way that he breaks it down. And this guy is probably like in his 60s now, if I'm not mistaken, right? He's a seasoned vet. But a lot of what he said years ago applies to the market today. A lot of
Yeah.
gems in those
He's
books.
actually no longer alive, but yeah, he was very old.
Oh wow! See, I didn't even know he passed away, but yeah. So And I actually came across some of
Yeah.
his YouTube videos where he had some of
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
conferences and stuff. And I'm just sitting there and I'm listening to him and I'm like, wow, yeah, I've been going at this all wrong. Um, as a matter of fact, he was one of the people that kind of got me to start understanding how important a trading journal is, right? Because the best book to read to gain knowledge and understanding and how to trade is your own trading journal. And I've heard that being repeated like 1,000 times, but I didn't understand it until I actually started writing one. And I would sit there and start seeing that I'm like writing the same thing over and over and over. I'm like, wait a minute, I keep doing this. I need to stop doing this. Or, hey, this worked and then it worked again. Maybe I need to keep doing this. So over time, you just kind of start fine tuning. Let me stop doing the things that I'm realizing that's losing, and let me start doing more of the things that's allowing me to win. And then sure enough, after about 6 months, I looked up and I kind of stopped doing a lot of things that I was doing within the first 6 months. I kind of found myself doing new bad things, but it's just habits that you have to break and you have to
Yeah.
kind of let go and stuff. But overall, it just ended up working out for me. And yeah, that's probably one of the best things I've done since I started trading is keeping a journal and writing down everything every day.
Those Mark Douglas videos on YouTube, like the seminars,
Uh-huh.
they're very good. They're low quality, but they're very good, and it's
Very,
like hours worth of
very
content.
powerful. A lot of good
So
stuff
like
in there.
whoever needs any sort of trading psychology knowledge, like that's definitely where you should go. On top of his book, Trading in the Zone.
Yeah.
Um, if you could go back to your younger self, like 20-year-old, what would you tell yourself that you think might um might have just improved your life overall? Do you think you would say like get into trading earlier or don't chase money or something else?
Well, I'm going to
Doesn't
be
have to be
honest.
trading related, I guess.
If I had a time machine and I can go back, I would definitely tell, um, I definitely tell my 20-year-old self, like, get in the market. I can honestly say that the market really wasn't as talked about the way it is now, like the way it has been within the last 5 years.
No.
And I didn't grow up in a family that invested. So this was something that I never really heard about. I mean, yeah, I heard about Wall Street and heard about the stock market and stuff like that, but you just kind of figure that was for like older people, like baby boomers and stuff. They invested in the stock market, not like the retail
That's for the
trader,
old
not
people,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, not us. So um I can say I'm a little seasoned. I'm a little older than a lot of guys that's in the market now, but I would definitely say get in early. Get in early, learn it early. Um, just try to get as much knowledge as you can as soon as you can before you start going live and trading with real money. Because now that I'm 3 years in, I realize that my education process is it's like college in a way. Like it's you have to put in some time like years. You got to put in your freshman year, sophomore year, junior. You got to put in the time and learn this stuff
Yeah.
before you actually graduate and then get out there and start doing it for real. And I hear a lot of people like kind of talking down about like back testing and paper trading, and it's not real. There's no real emotions involved. Well, that's not what that is for. And I wish a lot of these successful traders would kind of speak on that, because back testing and paper trading is not for you to gauge your emotions. Think of it as more like scrimmage, right? You have professional football teams, right? During the week,
Yeah.
they have to scrimmage, they have to practice, they have to get their defense correct. They got to get their offensive plays going before the big game on Sunday, right? I'm sure when they're scrimmaging, yeah, they're putting in an effort, but they're not sitting there putting in 1,000% like they would on Sunday. But they still have to practice,
100%.
right? So that when Sunday comes, they'll know what they'll be able to do against their opponent. For you and me, our opponent are the different stocks that we trade, or the futures that we trade, or the penny stocks that we go after. That's
Yeah.
that's the other team. So we have to study how they move, how fast they move, how slow they move, when do they move the fastest, when do they move the slowest, what really pushes them up, what really pushes them down, so that we can counter with our moves, with our, you know, go longs or go shorts. We have to
The stuff we
understand that.
practice.
Right,
Yeah.
right. There you go. And I don't know, man. I just kind of feel like if, a lot more people would spend a lot more time saying, hey, do this before you go live, before you trying to set up a daily goal or a weekly goal. Like, understand you have to practice first. Then I think the failure rate would be a lot lower than it actually is now.
That's so true. Yeah. Are you on TikTok at all?
No, I never been on there. What am I missing on TikTok?
Okay. It sounds like you've been on there because a lot of young traders, like younger than me, I'm 25, like 18 and younger, some like 16.
Okay.
And they all think trading is like get rich
Easy
quick,
money.
essentially.
Yeah.
They think like you can make it, they think like you can make it within a year, which, I mean, honestly, I probably thought that too when I started.
I think everybody
And it's
does.
just, I don't know. It's just how, yeah, everyone gets into it thinking it's easy, it's quick. But yeah, I think for that reason, they don't want to do demo trading, because it's like, if I do demo trading, then that's just gonna like prolong my journey. So now instead of a year, it's a year plus 6 months. When in reality, it's like the chances of you being successful in a year is like,
Super slim.
on top of this being like a 90% failure rate,
Super slim.
making it within a year is doable. But yeah, I don't know anyone that's been successful after a year. And like, that's the reason why after trading 6 years now, I'm going back to demo trading, because like there's still stuff I need to learn, and there's like, I'm trying new things and trying to actually follow a plan and a strategy now, and make sure that it works and that I can follow it live, but without any money on the line, so that I can move to the next step, which is like live money, but like the smallest position size
Start
possible.
small and then gradually working your way
my
up.
way out.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you something. What is your style of trading? Like, what do you look for in the markets every day?
So do you know who ICT is?
I've heard of them.
I've posted about them a lot.
Yeah. I've never actually followed them.
Okay. So the inner circle trader, he talks about like, he's like technically invented a bunch of concepts. It's called also smart money concepts online. It's like very trendy right now in the trading community. But essentially, he has a YouTube playlist online. All his stuff is free, which is why I like respect him and why I follow him. He doesn't sell anything, so like there's no conflict of interest, right? Like, he's not trying to, this strategy works. He's not trying to prove it works so that you can buy his course. He's doing it just because. So he has a playlist on YouTube called like the 2022 model, and that's essentially what I started with. So I watched that. It was like 40 something videos. It was like 20 hours or something, which wasn't that bad. But I started back testing it. I did like 250 back tested trades with like screenshots, a bunch of in-depth data, which most of it probably was unnecessary, but that's just how I do things. I'm like trying to find the best and everything. So it's essentially what it is he calls like swing highs and swing lows. He says that there's liquidity under the swing lows and above the swing highs. So like, because that's where most retail people put their stops. Like, they see a previous high and they're like, oh, if it goes above the high, then I'll get stopped out. So that's what he calls liquidity. So the strategy is essentially wait for it to break above a previous high or a previous low, which is called a liquidity
Okay.
sweep. And then once it gives like confirmation on a lower time frame, like 1 minute to 5 minute, then you enter pretty
Okay.
much. Without getting, I can't explain the whole 20 whatever hours and
I get the gist of it
200
though.
backtested trades, and yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's very simple. And I was trading it mechanically for a couple
Uh-huh.
months, and the reason I could never get it to work was because I literally just wouldn't follow it.
Like,
I had the back testing. I proved that it was profitable, although it wasn't perfect. Like some months it would be break even, some months would be amazing, some months it would lose a little bit.
uh-huh.
And for that reason, I was like, I'm not going to follow this. Like I wanted to be always profitable. So I was always trying to change stuff. And in my mind, I was like, oh, I'm following it. But in reality, I wasn't. And I didn't realize that till I posted a video on TikTok and I saying I've been trading for 6 years, and then it got like,
Haters start jumping
I
in.
don't know how many, 70,000 views or something. Oh my gosh, hundreds of hate comments saying, bro, give up 6 years. Like,
Oh
it's
man.
not for you. I'm like, but there were some good came out of it,
Okay.
because a lot of people messaged me saying like, hey, I relate to you. Like, I appreciate you being transparent. And some people actually tried to like help. So it just took one person messaging me. He's like, we exchanged like
Okay.
probably back and forth just like 3 times. And he was like, it sounds like you're just scared to take losses. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, no, I'm not scared to take losses, because I take them. Like I set the stop and I take the
Uh-huh.
loss. But what I didn't realize is I was actually scared to follow the plan. Like I was saying before, I wouldn't follow it 100%
Okay.
because I was scared to take those losses. I was like, I want it to be perfect first before I actually start doing it. So I just kind of realized, I was like, wow, I am like still scared to take losses. So I wasn't able to follow the plan. And since then, like the past month and a half, I've been like doing exactly what's in my plan. And
Okay.
I mean, it went great at first, and now I'm break even. So we'll see. We'll see where it goes from here
I have a
in the
question.
next couple weeks and months,
Is
years.
your plan already set up before you get into the trade, or is it like once you get in, then the plan gets kind of figured out?
No, it's um like I have a plan written
Okay.
out. So I determine I was purely mechanical
Uh-huh.
before, which means like I'm not taking any. How do I word this without? Because you might know what it means, but other people might
Okay.
not. Like discretionary trading is when you see the market
Uh-huh.
moving and like you pick and choose. Like I'm gonna buy here, sell here. Mechanical is, if this happens, I buy. If this happens, I sell.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I was doing mainly mechanical at first,
Uh-huh.
like 100% rule based. Now I'm doing a little bit of discretionary also. So like just kind of as I see the
On
market
the
move.
fly. Yeah.
Yeah. But I have the written plan. So like once I see the trade, I know where my exit's going to be for stop loss. I know the profit targets, and I just enter, and then I just wait until I either make until it's either a winner or a loser.
Well, here's my question to you now. Are you comfortable doing that?
Uh, yes, I I think it's yeah.
Okay. Is there a
I think
set
so.
time
Yeah,
during the day where you prefer trading, you feel the most comfortable trading?
not really, honestly. As long as it's not. I know that the first hour is more
Okay.
volatile. For that reason, I'll use a wider stop usually. And the last like hour also, I'll just use a wider stop. But I usually don't trade at the end of the day.
Okay. Okay. And what are you trading now?
But I think uh, I'm trading futures. Yes, futures,
Okay.
if that's what you're asking.
Yeah. So that's good. So that runs all day. So you can wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and trade that if you want to.
Yeah, but I only trade like market open times,
Okay. Okay.
9 till whatever it is. I've been trading for 6 years. That's something that's so funny. I've been trading for 6 years, and the amount of times I have to remind myself, I'm like, is it open at 9 or 9:30? Does it close at 4 or 4:30? Because it's also a different
Yeah.
time zone. I'm in Arizona, so it's like
Yeah. So you're what? You're three
it's
hours
funny.
behind East Coast.
Yeah.
Your market
Right
opens
now
at
I
what?
am.
9:30? Man. Or 6:30. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I wake up at 6.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you're used to it now.
That's usually how I remind myself. Oh yeah.
Man, I don't know if I could do that, man. Because I'm usually up at my desk by about 8:30, and I have yet to travel west, like to go out to that time zone to see what it would be like waking
Yeah.
up at 6:30 in the morning. But I read sometimes people like in Hawaii are waking up at like 3:30 in the morning to try to catch the open, and
Oh.
I'm like, I don't know if I could do that, but
Oh,
I get it, man.
I have someone, a trading friend from TikTok. He's in I think he's in the Philippines, but he's always like when we're waking up, it's like nighttime for him,
Yeah,
and like he'll always be saying like, "Man, I want to go to sleep, but I'm waiting for this trade or something." So it's just funny. All over the world, it's all different.
yeah. I took a break from trading last year, the end of last year. I took like almost like a 2.5 month break. I had to kind of give myself a little bit of downtime because I feel that with what I was doing at the time, it just wasn't working. So I kind of wanted to take a little break and kind of give my mind the opportunity to reset. While I took that break, I came across Forex. And I see that a lot of Forex traders always posting charts on TradingView, which is what I use to chart. So as I'm looking at a lot of these charts, I'm thinking they were stocks, they were actually currency pairs. I'm like, man, your chart looks kind of simple, kind of like ours. So I started to do a little research and I realized that currency trading is no different than the stock market. It's very similar in a lot of ways. So I said, okay, I've
Yeah.
been doing this for a while. It hasn't been working out. Let me try currency. And I did currency trading for about a month and a half. I downloaded the Metaphor and the MetaTrader 4, and I started looking up different currency pairs and stuff. And I started to understand that the hours of their market, because that's a 24-hour market, but we have, like our session in the West, and then you have the European session, and you have the Asia session. So I had to kind of like learn everything about Forex that I could because I figure, okay, I understand trading. I love trading. Maybe the stock market isn't for me. So let me try currencies. And I paper traded that for about a month and a half, 2 months, which was a completely different style of trading because me personally, I'm a scalper. So I'm in and out of trades in like less than 15,
Okay.
20 minutes. When I was doing Forex, I was swinging overnight because I was trading like the Asian session and part of like the European session. So it felt weird not sitting in front of the computer looking for the setup, kind of setting up a trade and then going to sleep and then waking up the
Wait,
next
watching it work.
morning hoping that, it went my way. And it was cool, but it just wasn't my personality. Like it wasn't my style. So after about 2 months of that, I missed trading and
Right.
I realized, you know what? I felt I had a little break from it. Let me get back in the market and let me start paper trading. Let me just kind of start something new. I decided to start something new in January of this year, and my style now is still scalping, but it's I made a lot of adjustments from what I was doing the previous year, and I realized for like the first quarter it was working great, and then the market cycle started changing March going into April, and then I realized that my strategy wasn't working as much. I said, okay, this is what got me at the end of last year. I kept doing the same thing, and when it wasn't working, I just tried to size up, thinking, let me recover what I was losing, and I was losing even more. So I realize now that the market has seasons pretty much, right? There's different seasons in the market. Everyone calls them cycles, but we have to adjust our trading style based on what part of the cycle or season we're in at that moment. And that is going to allow us to maintain that longevity and last for the long game. And now that I started doing that, my journal every day, I make an adjustment. The market is starting to do this. I'm starting to see these setups. This is what I saw today. This is what I did. This is how I was successful, or this is how it got me. I make a note, and when I get ready to go back, and if I see that setup again, I'll go in my journal. I'll see what happened the last time, and I'll use it as a reference this time, make the adjustments, and then try to attack it again and see what the results are. I have about 1.5 years worth of journal entries, but the last 6 months to me are the most important ones because those are the ones where I actually started making adjustments based off of what I did for the previous year that wasn't working. And I started to find more success within these last 6 months. Now, like I told you earlier, I'm still making some of the same mistakes that I did before, but it's more based off of emotions because that's part of trading that I haven't fully grasped yet. Like I get FOMO. Like this afternoon, I don't know if you saw the market this afternoon, but the market kind of started dropping. I think it was like around 1 o'clock or something. Some news broke with Apple. Apple started
Yeah, I
rallying. The
saw.
market had a quick pump, and then the market just turned around, killed over, and just started dumping. And I'm looking at the market, and I'm like, man, I just got stopped out of a trade. I thought I was catching the top of SPY. We were kind of struggling to go higher. NQ wasn't going any higher. I think we reached the top today. I'm watching Apple starting to kind of rainbow off of that little rally that it did. And then I start to see SPY starting to come back down again. I'm like, okay, let me see where it settles at. Let me see if we're gonna pull back and make a lower high. And then it just like a roller coaster. It just started dropping. And I'm like, oh man, FOMO's starting to kick in. And I said, I don't want to chase it. Let me just, relax. And I'm looking at the contracts are just going up and up and up. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just be patient. Okay, I can't be patient anymore. And then I jumped in on the trade, right? I broke one of my rules. Fortunately for me, it worked out. I got lucky, but that wasn't the right thing to do.
Yeah,
I
it's
should have
not a
just
good trade.
maintained my composure. I should have waited for a pullback. And then I should have, popped the top and then rode it down a little bit lower. But 3 years in and I'm still getting FOMO, seeing all these beautiful red candles going down. And I'm just thinking the action is happening. I'm not a part of it. I'm missing out. I'm going to lose out. I'm not going to be able to get anything. But it worked out. It ended up working out. And I wrote in my journal, hey, got FOMO today. This is what happened. I was in the trade right before this. Some news broke about Apple. I mean, we can't control, what happens. I mean, news breaks out all day. But while I was in this trade, news broke out and the trade went against me, hit my stop loss. I had to end up taking a loss. And like 10 minutes later, the trade started to go in my favor. And that was actually the move. I was in the trade 10 minutes earlier because I was expecting to see that move. But my timing was off. News broke out. But in the end, it worked out.
I think a lot of traders aren't able to make that connection that you just made, that I made money, but it doesn't mean it was a good trade. Like there's a difference between like a good trade and making money. And
Absolutely.
I think that's a big like step in the learning of trading, like realizing that just because you made money doesn't mean it was a good trade. What equals a good trade is following the plan and like following whatever strategy or edge you have.
Exactly.
Which I think also just that comes from journaling, learning about trading psychology. So you've been trading 2 or 3 years? It's 3 years now?
3. Yeah, 3.
Okay.
The end of 2020. So we're going on 3 years now.
Most traders, I think, the stat is like they fail or give up or lose all their money within a year. So, like, what kept you pushing through, like the hard times? Because like, no one's
the success, man. The success I had. Throughout those 3 years, I did have some big wins.
Yeah.
So the potential of what I saw could be is what
Hmm.
just kept me hanging in there. Like I drew down my account, like I would say probably like 80% of where I
Yeah.
originally started, you see? So I got down to like 80% and I stopped. That's when I took that break because I said, you know what? If I keep doing what I'm doing and I'm not changing anything, I'm gonna draw this to
You're
zero
beyond.
and I'm gonna blow my account. So I was at least wise enough to say, okay, step back, reassess, reevaluate, and come up with something different because what you're doing isn't working. But what kept me in there is just seeing what could be if I hit this thing 1,000%, don't stop, keep going. Because, you know, like like college, right? When you start off as a freshman in your first year, you don't know anything, right? You just kind of figure things out. You get to your first year and you're kind of getting an idea of what it is that you're going to be doing. But like I'm going to use like medicine, for example. Let's say you want to be a doctor. You start
Mhm.
your first year, your second year, you're kind of learning the basics. You don't actually finish 2 years and then get handed a scalpel and then start cutting people open. It doesn't work like that because you're not
I
going to
hope
know
not.
what you're doing, right? Um, but usually after you finish the education process, then you actually have to go and practice, right? You got to practice and practice for a while before you can get to the part where you can actually start working on real people. And I kind of feel that throughout the 3 years, like towards the end of the 3 years, like maybe about 2.5, 2.25 years in, I started to realize that, man, this is like college. Like you really have to put in the time, have the patience and get the understanding before you just jump out there and start throwing out money, you know? And unfortunately, despite all the education I had, the courses that I invested in, they didn't tell you that from day one. I feel like that's something that you should tell new traders from day one. Listen, this is a journey. Don't think you're gonna buy this course, finish it in 30 days, and then start making like $1,000 a day next month. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work. It cannot work like that unless you just luck. And there is a such thing as beginner's luck. People do come
Yeah.
in and they just get lucky. They be at the right place at the right time and they make money and, more
Yeah.
more power to them. But they're not going to be able to know how to keep the money. And that's another big thing. Risk management is something that you hear it being said so much. You hear it thrown around. The best traders know how to lose, the least amounts. And it's not what they win, but what they don't lose and all that. And it's like, yeah, that you hear that, but you don't understand what that means until you actually see. I can have 10 trades one week, win on 9, lose 1, and lose everything I won on the other 9. That is
Yeah.
terrible,
Yeah.
but you can't look at the 9 wins and think, oh man, I'm a good trader. I just had a bad trade. No, you suck. Like that's honest to God truth. You cannot do that. You can have 3 wins, 7 losses, and still be profitable, like extremely profitable, based on your risk to reward, 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 5 to 1, 7 to 1. You understand? So, with that being said, I think that that's something that a lot of new people, not just young people, but new people coming into the market, they need to be taught that, told that, repeated every day. Like risk management is the key to lasting in the game. You have to know how much or how little or how to risk, how to determine what you can afford to lose. There are some trades where you feel it's just like, oh yeah, this is like all the stars are aligning. I can throw the house at this one, you know? And then there's those that you'll look at, and if you have to do one of these numbers, like, I don't know, man. I mean, it looks good. No, you don't throw the house at that one. You go in super light. You go in like a tenth of what you would normally do, have a very small stop, and if it doesn't work, get out. Like literally, draw a line on the screen. If the candles close above this line, get out. Don't say, well, let me see what the next candle is going to do.
Yeah. Don't.
Okay, the next candle closed above that too. Okay, let me see if the next one's going to come down a little bit. No, no. That's how you end up failing in this game.
That was literally all I did for the first 2 years in penny stocks. No risk management. I was just like, oh, I think if it goes under this, I'll sell. And it went lower. I was like, oh, just a little bit longer. Lower, lower, lower. And like,
Yeah, just let me be a little patient.
yeah, it's like, oh, being patient is good, right? And it's like, because no one, like you
Yeah.
said, like there's some things that just isn't taught to traders. And although now risk management and trading psychology is like popular and like it's popular, I think I hear it a lot. Um, when I started in 2017, no one was talking about it, and it wasn't until like the past 2 years, I think, with I think like TikTok helps a lot and like short form content. It's just getting a lot of information out there, which is good and bad.
Okay.
But yeah, no one talked about risk management back then, and that's what took me from consistently losing, like not a lot, but I was like consistently like loss, 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 a little win, loss, loss, to like a little bit break even, maybe somewhat losing. Um, and where was I going with that?
Let me add to what you just said. Um, I spent the first 2 years of trading using only market orders. I didn't know anything about uh, bid and ask. I just adjusted my trading brokers to market, and I would market in and I would market out. And I didn't realize how much I was losing by doing that, especially trading options with huge
Oh
spreads
yeah.
like 50, 60, 70, maybe even 100, not even knowing I have like 3 or 4 contracts in here and I might be up, let's say I'm up 400, but because I market sold, I only end up like walking away with like 240. And then I'm sitting there
Oh,
looking at the
wow.
screen like, wait a minute, I know I just saw 400. How am I only getting 230? Not understanding the damage I was doing by using market. Yeah, you can get out faster with that. You're guaranteed the exit, but you're going to, like, the cost of that is you're going to lose money. And back like last year, I think like the beginning of last year, when like Amazon was still like 3,000 a share and Google was still like 2,300, those contracts were very expensive, right? And they had a nice little $200-300 spread between them. So when you mark it out, that sometimes that would take like all of your profits. I would be up green, I'd mark it out, and then I'm like red, $75. I'm like, wait a minute, I was green a second ago. Like, what happened? The market's rigged. Like the market's stacked against me. Like, what the
Yeah,
heck
you
is
blame
going
the
on?
market.
The broker just stealing my money. Yeah, blame the market. That's like the easiest out. Blame the market. It's always the market, no matter what. But once I started learning about the bid and the ask, I still kept losing money, but just not as much, not as fast. So, but that was something that like taking the courses that I was taking. That's not something that they were explaining in there. They would always say, "Hey, exit 30% here if you're up. If you're green, exit 30% of your position. And then trim another 30%. Trim exit, but not necessarily how to exit. Setting a bid order at this particular level so that if the market hits it, it's going to get you out using trailing stop. Trailing stops is something that was a game changer for me when I was swinging. When I was swinging, I thought that was a good thing. But again, being a scalper, I'm in and out. So I'm right there in front of the screen, so I don't have to set anything. I could just know if it hits this level, if it crosses this line, I'm out. If it crosses this line, I'm in. But I had my level set, so I knew based on where my levels were at, what I stand to gain and what I stand to lose. And I'm gonna add one last thing too. For option traders, this is very important. If you're gonna trade option, the best thing that these traders can tell people is learn the stock that you're trading. Learn it first. Understand how it moves and how its contracts move. Because Tesla contracts trade and move a lot differently than like American Airlines. You understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you cannot go into trading Tesla the way you trade American Airlines because the contracts are not going to move the same. One Tesla contract can be $700-800 depending on what day of the week it is. American Airlines on a Monday is like $25 a piece. So if if you're trying to walk away with 10%, 20, 30, 40%, 40% of 700 is definitely a lot more than 40% of $25. You see what I'm saying? So you have to understand that, knowing what position size you're going to go in, how many contracts you're going to have. If the trade goes against you, how much does that stock need to move against you in order for you to be down 10, 20, 30%? You have to know that. If for every 50 cents Tesla moves, the contracts move, let's say $10. Every 50 cents is $10 with Tesla, right? There's usually a spread of about $10 to $15 from the bid and the ask on the contracts
Wait.
at the money. With American Airlines, the spread is $1. If the stock moves 8 cents, the contracts move $1. You
Yeah.
have to know that, because you can't go into a trade not knowing those numbers and then trying to get 30, 40%. You don't even know what 30, 40% is going to be, not as far as like the amount of money, but you don't know how much Tesla needs to move for the contracts to get 30, 40%. You might need a $3 move to get 40%. So if you're jumping in the trade at an area where the probability of Tesla stock moving $3 is not very likely, yeah, it'll move. It might move $1.25, $1.50, but it's not going to go a full $3 at this location. Don't jump in the trade if that's your goal, is 30, 40%. If you're okay with 10%, cool, jump in right here. But you have to know these things. And see, this is what I'm talking about when it comes to the education process. This is something that none of the courses that I purchased talked about. They don't discuss these things. And if you want to be successful, you have to understand how these stocks move. American Airlines moves very slowly. The ATR on that stock is like 45 cents in one day. Tesla has been known to move anywhere from like 10 to 20, $30 in one day. So you have to know how these stocks move so you can gauge how much you're going to win or how much you're going to lose, how much you're okay losing, how much you're okay winning. So if the day was to ever come, Eric, where I am successful, not necessarily a millionaire, but I'm like consistently profitable, and I get to the point where I can kind of trim back a little bit and start educating people, I'm going to start day one with what I explained to you in our conversation, like understanding, welcome to my course, everybody. This is my name. This is my journey. I need you to understand, this isn't going to happen like overnight. Just get comfortable. You're going to be doing this probably, if not the rest of this year, like a couple years before you get to the point where you even start looking at making $1.
Yeah.
And hopefully that'll end up saving a lot of people's bank accounts.
The reason no one does that, even though it's the truth, is because no one will buy that. Everyone wants what good marketing is as quick as possible and as easy as possible. So although trading is
Sounds good.
both of those things aren't true. It's not quick and it's not easy. The good marketers know that, like, if they want people to buy it, they're going to make it seem quick and easy. And they're going to make you get like emotional about it. They're going to show you what buying their course will equal. Like, hey, look, I have a Ferrari. I'm standing in front of it. And if you buy my course, that equals you getting a Ferrari. And like, I think a lot of people aren't aware of like the basics of marketing, which I wasn't either. Like they play on your emotions and like what you want. And because so many traders are emotional about trading and they're emotional about their goals, and like, a lot of people aren't really financially stable in the world. So like it's like emotional subject. And because of that, so many people are willing to buy someone's course, even if there's just like a chance that it might like give them what they want. And yeah, I see so many people all the time buying stuff, and I don't know anyone who's, other than the screenshots the course educators like post themselves, I don't know anyone who said like, hey, I bought this person's course or this person's signal and like I'm making money. Like, I don't think they exist, other than the there's gonna be a few, of course. Like there's always gonna be
if they do, I was gonna say there's probably gonna be a very small number if they do exist, and more power to them. I mean, that's wonderful. If there are people out there that can say that, congratulations, you are one of the like 1%. that has actually made it and is out here making money. But, you know, if you're taking signals, what I always say is, and I've been in a signal group for 2 years before I ended up getting out, is
Yeah.
throughout those 2 years, I've seen many people come and go. Many people come and go. I would say that by the time I got ready to leave, out of like the first 20 people that I can say I got to know in there, there was only like one or two of those people left. The
Yeah.
other majority, like the majority had washed out, you know,
And
some
you,
pop back in every now and then, but then they'll disappear again. And it wasn't like they disappeared because they're off doing their own thing and they're successful making their money. It's like they're broke. Their accounts are drained. They blew up another account and they're like, all right, I'll see you guys in a few months and I get, you know, go back to work and save up some more money. And I'm like, man, it's scary, man. It's almost like a real life survivor, you know? It's like every month or every other week, somebody's disappearing. And it's like, man, what happened to such and such? You know, where's Eric? Oh, yeah, he's gone. He blew his favorite account. He's
oh
not
yeah,
gonna
you
be
go
with
to
us
another
anymore. And you're like,
account.
oh man. You know, it's like, come on, man. He was just here. Damn, this is scary. And then you got, you know, Mike comes in now. And Mike's all pumped up and Mike makes his first couple $100. He's like, oh man, I'm getting rich. I'm doing this every day. And then like, you know, next month it's like, yo, where's Mike? Oh yeah, he's gone. He blew his account, you know, that Nvidia trade, yeah, that did go his way.
I
He
think
threw everything in it and he's gone.
there needs to be a requirement before you can trade. Like, I think it should be illegal to just, all you need to trade is a phone and like a little bit of money. And it's like, you can open an account and start trading within minutes, instantly, in the
Pretty
US.
much. Yeah,
And
pretty
like, I
much.
don't think that should be allowed. Like the amount of people that get into it, everyone has the same beginning. They see a video or something and they're
Yeah,
like, oh, let me just try this. And like, they usually lose a little
absolutely.
bit. They usually have one like winner, and that they hold on to that one winner. They're like,
Uh-huh.
oh, I won once, so I can like do it again. And they just, it spirals
Yeah,
into all those mistakes. And then they realize, oh, it's not this easy. Then they realize they have to learn. And it's
yeah.
like, oh, this won't
Real.
happen quickly. And that's usually, I
Yeah.
think, where people, it splits into the people that are like, yeah, this is a scam, I'm not doing this, to the people that are like, I'm going to try this a little bit
Uh-huh.
longer. I'm going to pursue this.
Uh-huh.
Um,
I would
I'm,
remember being in that Discord and I remember like some of the admins that were calling out the plays, they would call out some losers. And, you know, these guys are going in like several tens of thousands of dollars. So they'll lose, like, let's say they'll go in 40,000 on a trade, they'll lose 5,000 and they're just like, well, man, you know, you can't win them all. All right, on to the next one. And some of these people are putting in like 80, 90% of their account and they're
yeah,
done. And then they're like, what do you mean you can't win them all? Like, I just lost, like, my whole account, this, that, and the other. And, you know, like, their attitudes would be like, well, you know, they always tell you not to go in 100%. We're not
it's
perfect.
not our fault.
But
You're in
that's not
control.
what you say. Yeah, man. That's not what you're saying when you're winning and you're sitting up
Yeah,
there getting hype and you're all right. We're
it's
always
all
winning
because of
in
us.
here every day. You know, come trade with us. Yeah, man. You know, and it was just too much for me. And I just decided to like break away from all that and just kind of do my own thing and sit quietly in this corner and just learn and focus and just develop my own strategy. Because I figure I can take I can take credit for my wins. I will take credit for my losses. That they're gonna be my wins, my luck. Not something that somebody else saw and thought. And no, not doing that. Not going down that road anymore.
Luckily I've never gotten sucked into signals. Every time I see it, I'm just like, this is the complete opposite of what trading is for. Is like, trading is to be
Uh huh.
self-sufficient, not to, there's no possible way that you could just give someone your money and it's just gonna like give you what, 100%, whatever they promise you weekly or monthly. Like,
Yeah.
no. And if it's out there, then like, it's gonna be someone who's like very rare, or they're not utilizing whatever their strategy is to like its full potential. Like, they should go do that with millions, or now with just like a couple thousand or whatever they're doing. Um, but
Uh huh.
I have a one last question for you. If someone were to if someone wants to
Okay.
get into trading, what would you tell them? Would you say do it, don't do it, or what?
Well, the first thing I would ask them is, why would you do it? And I would want to hear their answer so I can answer them. But I wouldn't say don't do it. If their answer is, I want to get rich, I want to buy a Lambo, then I would say don't do it. This is
Yeah.
not, go find something else to do because this is not going to work. But if they're saying something like legit, like, I want to create generational wealth, or I want to teach my little sister, my little siblings, or my kids how to invest for the future, because the future is uncertain. We can both agree that the world is changing. Then I would say, okay, yeah, definitely invest. Get educated first, start small, and then scale up as you feel you're getting better and you have the facts, the receipts to show that you are doing as well as you need to. But yeah, it just depends on the answer. Get rich quick? No, don't even think about it. Put the phone down, put the laptop down. But again, if it's a legit reason, absolutely, absolutely.
That's a good answer. It all starts with like your why you want to do something.
Your why?
Um, mhm.
Uh huh.
um,
What
I
was your why,
appreciate
if you
you.
don't mind me asking?
Yeah. Okay. My why for a while. Well, it always was like my parents
Uh
and
huh.
myself. Like I would write it down on my phone. I remember I would write it numerous times because I'm like, I read the book, Man's Search for Meaning by
Okay.
whatever the name is, Viktor Frankl, I think.
Uh
And
huh.
he talks about your why and how you can survive, how he survived concentration camps, um, because he had a strong why. So he was able to push
Uh
through
huh.
that, like the crazy suffering that he went through in concentration camps. So because of that, I was always like, what's my why? What's my why? And I would always like hear other people talking about how they've, some people have like very strong and obvious whys. Like, if I don't do this, I'm going to go broke or I'm going to die or like I need to pay for this person's hospital bill. So it's like, obviously, like
All
if
right.
you have that sort of like why, it's like you're going to do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
But for me, I never really had a super strong why. I was just like, I want to pay back my parents and my mom and like give all of
Uh
my whole
huh.
family just a good, living, a good like the best,
Yeah.
highest quality life that we could have. But my life has always been like good. Like right now, for instance, like I'm happy. I don't have everything. I'm not a profitable trader. I'm not like rich. I don't have the car I want, the house I
Uh
want. But like I have a lot of freedom. I'm like I do pretty much what I want. And because of that, like
Okay.
although it's great, it also means that I don't have a lot of reason to like uh put myself into a uncomfortable situation to grow, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So because of that,
Yeah.
I had to
Absolutely.
really like dig deep and be like what is my why? And I was like, after
Uh
rewriting
huh.
it a couple times, I just rewrote it like 2 months ago. I wrote a super long thing that I listened to every morning and every night before I go to bed.
Okay.
Essentially, again, it's for my family, my mom. Like I want to give her the
Uh
best
huh.
life, repay her for all the things she's done for me and our family, and
Awesome.
just like be
Awesome.
someone that lives in alignment with my values and my beliefs.
Uh,
Be someone who doesn't like give into the easy or short term things,
all right.
because
All right.
that's what I would do a lot, and like that internal conflict would always make me feel like a lower value. And now lately, like
Uh
it's just
huh.
been so weird. Like week after week after week, I've been hitting all my like goals for like stuff I want to do, like how much work I want to put in,
Okay.
waking up on time, doing like I've been hitting 90% of my habits because I'm like tracking my habits,
Nice.
and it's just like I guess my why is um, maybe it doesn't sound like it's significant, but it's like just being living life to my fullest potential, like being the highest version of myself that I
Okay.
know I need. Whereas if I don't do
Right.
all these
Yeah.
things, if I don't do all these things, I'm telling myself, no, like I'm not this person. I'm like, when I know that's not true. So it's like either I
Uh-huh.
live to my full potential or I'm nothing, essentially.
I can dig it, man. That's awesome. That's
You
awesome.
can, what is
I
yours?
heard
So we
that,
can,
man. Good
let's end
stuff.
on that. Because I wanted to ask you that also.
I- Um, time, time, man. I
Hmm.
feel that the most important thing that we own is time. Right? How we spend it, there needs to be meaning behind how we spend our time, and I feel that trading is going to offer me like unlimited amount of free time, and
Yeah.
that's something that at this point in my life, I feel I cherish and I value a lot because when you're in the rat race and you're working the 9 to 5 and you're doing the same thing Monday through Friday, 12 months out of the year, and you barely get to enjoy the weekends if you're not doing other things. You always look back and be like, where does the time go? Damn, it's
Yeah.
Friday. Oh, damn, it's Monday already. But trading will allow me to have a life where I can literally put in a few hours, accomplish what I need to accomplish, and then I get like 20 some odd hours of the day for myself, for me to enjoy with my loved ones and to do the things that I want to do. I haven't yet seen a career path that gives you the financial freedom and the limitless amount of time the way I've seen the market. The market is
Exactly.
like, this is something that I wish I would have learned in high school. There's no telling where I would have been now if I would have learned this when I was 16, 17 years old. But time, I do it for the time. I'm doing it for the time. I want as much free time as I can. I want to enjoy the rest of my life doing what I want to do when I want to do it for as long as I want to do it.
Oh yeah. That's a big aspect I forgot about too. Was the freedom in all aspects of life, not just financial freedom,
Uh-huh.
freedom with my time, freedom with what I'm doing in my life. Because there are some things in life that can give you financial freedom, but not freedom in your
Uh-huh.
time. And there's things that could even give
Uh,
you freedom, financial freedom, freedom in your time, but maybe it's not something that you necessarily want to do. And trading is
uh,
literally the only one where it's like, it's like as far as what I've seen, I don't think there's anything that comes close to it. I think that's another
yeah.
reason why so many people do it, pursue it.
And you can do it anywhere. That's
Uh-huh.
like a beautiful perk. You can do it anywhere. Where unlike other
Anytime.
careers, you have to be here. You got to do this over here. You got to be over here. You got to do it in here. Now trading, I could be in Greece on an island with a laptop and some internet, and I can do what I do back home over there. And it's like, come on, man, it gets no better than that.
That's awesome. Let's end it there. That was very good. But I appreciate you
All right,
uh, reaching out and wanting to be on the podcast because you're the second guest.
absolutely, man. I
So like,
appreciate you having me. Okay,
yeah,
cool,
yeah,
cool.
you have to have some sort of faith in me to be to like agree to do this because like you don't know if it's gonna be good or not. It's something new. It's like a new podcast, so like it's not like there's any proof behind it yet that it's like you know
All right.
a good podcast or that it's
I'm gonna
worth
be
your
honest,
time.
man. I wish you the very best of luck and success with this, and as far as your trading career. The reason I wanted to do it is because when I came across your page and I started just like listening to the things that you were saying, I found you to be very relatable. You humanize trading in a way that I can look at you and look at what you're saying, and I'm like, hell yeah, I can relate. You're not up there flashing the cars or the jewelry or the clothes, and you're not in
Dude,
Tahiti saying, hey, you could be here if you just listen to me. No, you're just like, hey guys, this is what I'm doing today. This is where I'm struggling. I'm trying to do this. It's still not working out, but I'm still not giving up. And I'm like, right on, brother. Yeah, I can relate to this gentleman right here. I just wanted to be a part of your journey, man.
I appreciate that. That means a lot. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Keep up the good work. You're motivating a lot of us out here. Even if you don't hear it or read it always in the comments, just know that your message is getting through, and there are people out here that like, keep going, Eric. We're right there with you.
That's awesome. Yeah, I appreciate the support.